Hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. This year alone, I've done close to 900 SEO audits. And there are a few things that are reoccurring in every audit that I see, especially when it comes to the problems with those websites and why those websites have hit a certain threshold beyond which they're unable to grow. And many website owners have asked me, what we can do to grow our site. Now, every individual website, there is a separate piece of advice that is tailored advice that I give them. But generally speaking, there are a few things that you can do to grow your site. Now, if your site is stuck, this is not for people who have a brand new site. It's not people who have a site that was demoted by Google. But this is for some people who have their site, let's say, stuck. So if you've been receiving 7,000-8,000 impressions, maybe like 300-400 clicks, and it has been stuck there for the past 3-4 months, and it's not going anywhere, there are a few things that you can do to unstick your website and grow it. Now, there are a few things to keep in mind. The first thing is when you actually apply any of these methods, your website may go down. So you may experience a temporary decline in your traffic, a decline in your impressions, decline in your clicks. The other thing you might experience is that Google takes time to react to the changes that you made to your site. So you don't want to make a lot of changes. You just want to make one change at a time. So I've shared 5 things that you can do here, but you don't want to do all 5 things at the same time. You want to do a little at a time. So 1 month you do a little bit, next month you'll do a little bit. And if you see that doing a little bit has caused your website to decline, you reverse or you hold out for a little longer. This is totally your decision. Also, I hold a responsibility to what goes wrong with your website if you try this, because I have seen websites that have been tanked by the website owners just because they removed a bunch of content and they didn't check the backlinks. So just make sure you're very careful what you do. This is broad advice. This is not specifically tailored to your website. So now that we have that out of the way, let's jump to it. Okay, so I know the question most people who are watching this video will ask is, why do their rankings plateau in the first place? Well, for context, 96.55% of pages get 0 traffic from Google. And this is based on a study of over 14 billion pages in Ahrefs. And so this pie chart you see right here and this data you see on the right over here is from an Ahrefs article that explains why Google does not index 96.55% of content out there. Now, to be fair, it does not index most pages because they are low quality. But the standard for what Google sees as low quality has evolved quite a bit. So even over the past year, Google has evolved their definition of or their standard of what they deem to be quality content. So I'm not going to go into that because that's a whole different discussion. It'll take us through a whole different rabbit hole. For now, I just want to focus on the fact that Google does not index a lot of content. And what's happening is that Google's indexing policies are evolving, especially post-core updates. And so recently, Google updates have meant that websites may struggle to maintain a healthy index. And it's not so much of a problem with smaller sites as they are a problem with larger sites. So Google's more overall focus is now on the quality of the content and the quality of on the website as compared to just quantity. And so this is so what Google is doing now is that less valuable content is being dropped off SERPs and then eventually even dropped off the index. And so as a website owner, one of the things you need to strive to is to make sure that your content remains relevant, it remains fresh, it remains indexed. And if all of that is in place, your content will show in SERPs. So that's pretty much the goal here. So I have a few tips that will help you break the plateau. And usually when your website plateaus, it's because Google does not see any additional value in your site. Now that could be for technical reasons, that could be for content reasons, that could also be for reasons that your competitors are doing a lot better than you, so you're stuck at, whatever position you're stuck at. And there's a way to do a content audit, and this video is not about a content audit, but I will make a separate video which will be members only, and it'll be maybe an hour or so long that goes into how to do a content audit. So stay tuned for that. But for now, just keep in mind is that if your website is plateaued, it's because of quality reasons, and you need, and those can be the quality of your content, it can be the quality of your website, it could be the quality of a technical SEO, it could be any one of these things, and these tips should help address those issues. So tip number 1 is focus on indexing efficiency. Now, as a website owner, you have no idea whether or not Google is indexing your website efficiently. But keep in mind that Google is also indexing less content, and this is by design. And so over the past, let's say, 3 years, Google has made it a point to index far less content than it did 3 years ago. So Google aims to reduce their carbon footprint associated with crawling and storing data. Focus on indexing content that provides real user value, as Google will deprioritize redundant low-quality pages. And so this is what people are experiencing. So what happens is when someone posts an article, the article goes live, the article is indexed, it starts showing up in search, and then suddenly it drops off. That's because there are a lot of similar articles out there. Google has tested your article, doesn't see any value in it, and has just thrown it off the website. You also need to keep in mind is this article providing additional value to what's already on the website? That's something you need to determine. And so by focusing on indexing efficiency, you're making sure that only content that you want to rank on Google is being indexed. And so if you have 2 similar articles, decide which one you want indexed and which one you don't want indexed. So no index the one that's older, that hasn't done so well, and keep the one that you want to do well indexed. So that's tip number 1. The next one is to clean up low-value content. So remove all content with low engagement. What I usually do is I go to Google Search Console or GA4, and I will look at content that has not received any clicks and that have received under 100 impressions since the time it was published. So usually it would be a 12-month span, depending on the age of the website. So if the website is only 6 months old, we can't do this. So this is usually if the website is 2 years and older. So if you have a 2-year-old website, you look at whether or not it's been receiving any clicks or impressions. If the pages have not been receiving any clicks over the past few months, has received under 100 impressions, you might want to consider cleaning up the content, which means either cull the content or redo it. So if you decide to refresh outdated content, the thing I would suggest is don't keep old articles unless they have search demand, which means that if you have a how to buy an iPhone 11 or tips to buy an iPhone 11 article, unless you see that you're getting clicks to the content, you probably don't want to keep it, all right? So there may be people that are searching for, how to buy an iPhone 11, but they're probably searching for how to buy a used iPhone 11. So you could redo that article into how to buy a used iPhone 11, and that will probably be more relevant. So for outdated content with potential, perform a full revamp and consider changing the URL to reflect updated content. This helps keep your content relevant in search results. So in the case of this iPhone article, then you would have to also change the URL. So the old URL, so your URL will be how to buy a used iPhone 15, iPhone 11. Copy and paste the article, redo it for an audience that's searching for a used iPhone 11, redirect the old article to the new article, 301 redirect, and that will tell Google that you replace that old article with this new article permanently. And that also this is a change in intent. It's also for a different audience. So you need to make sure that your website caters to that audience. If it does not, then even that article may not perform well. The next one is strengthen internal linking. And I see this all the time whenever I do an audit. I see the internal links are just awful. And sometimes there are no internal links. So for starters, as a beginner, I would strongly advise that you take a look at your internal linking. Make sure that the pages that you want to have rank have at least 7 unique internal links pointing to them. If that's not the case, build those internal links. All right, use a plugin like Link Whisperer that will help you, or you can even use AI nowadays to figure out where you can get an internal link from. Make sure it's from a relevant source within your content. Don't just add internal links willy-nilly, because that can do more harm than good. Watch my internal linking video, and that way and use the strategies that I've discussed there to improve your internal linking. Strong internal linking signals to Google that your content is valuable, it's well connected, and it increases the likelihood of being crawled and indexed. It also increases the likelihood of remaining in Google's index, especially if you build those internal links from fresh articles that Google sees it has value. So that finally we can come to customize your content. So you want to avoid using generic content. And I don't know whether you're selling a product online, whether you're a content-heavy site, whether you're selling a service online. If your content is just like every other website's content, it's not going to do great, okay? You need to find a way to improve the content. So if you're selling a product, don't just copy and paste what the manufacturer has sent you. Come up with a unique description. I have a way of doing product description that work very well. And again, I'm not going to talk about that in this video. But it does exceptionally well because even though on the surface it looks like any other content description, but in fact it's directly addressing the person that's reading that content, and it's selling that product and it's helping the product stand out. So when we do product descriptions, we're spending a lot of time. We're not just doing AI, but we're spending a lot of time doing those descriptions. And even if we are using AI, it's only to speed up the process of generating that content. It's not to conceptualize or write that content. So you can add UGC, like user-generated reviews and stuff. Just make sure that you're differentiating your content from your competitors. For content-heavy websites, this would mean a lot more work. I work with a few content-heavy websites, and we've had to redo a lot of their content because the old content strategy just does not work anymore. And so by doing that, we were able to grow the website exceptionally. But again, your website should offer value that other websites that are ranking in the SERPs are not offering, and that will help you rank. So thank you for watching this video. As always, if you have a question, you can leave a comment below, or you can contact me directly via cloudsceodubai.com. So if you guys liked the video, I hope it was helpful, and I hope it will unstick your website. Like and subscribe as always, and happy ranking.